The West asks everyone else to respect their borders, but has the West ever respected international borders? What drives migrant flows to the Western Promised Lands at individual, national and global levels? Marcel Perret and Shannon Gleason argue that the nexus between precarity, agency and migration become intersectional factors that complicate the neoliberal restriction of movement across national borders and such capitalist consequences on human freedom. Tara Wincher's The Last Class unpacks such contested interconnections through narratively intensifying the exploitation of refugees and their multiple forms of vulnerability, from accepting government temporalities, the casualization of their work, and social xenophobia. The concept of precarity is interlinked with inequality and insecurity regarding income and employment. English is semantically precarious. A thin line, not a border wall, divides confirmation from invalidation, local from international, citizen from migrant. Nationality is no greater than the precarious attainment of relevance in a country constantly fluctuating between including and otherizing. In this shadow world of vulnerability and insecurity, what makes a migrant's life precarious? Perret and Gleason pinpoint the problems of migration as associated with labour, exposing the discrepancy between the treatment of developing world immigrants and developed world citizens. Winch reflects the limited choices of refugees and Amina's darkly humorous suggestion that employment visas should be read as able to work as a cleaner, rendering our modern egalitarian society feudal in disallowing the migrant serfs the resources to achieve social mobility. The assumptions embedded around work lies at the heart of migrant precarity. However, Winch reveals that it is not only capitalism and insecure employment that leads to the precarity of migrants, but also their access to resources, problems which are compounded by barriers of language, racialization, and low levels of human capital.
Capitalism is perversely incentivized to propagate migrant exploitation, which allows them access to a conveyor belt of migrants desperate to be validated through workaholism. Such a phenomenon results from the product of neoliberal globalization, which treats workers as commodities rather than as humans in need of social protection. Perret and Gleason suggest that eliminating national borders will enable the smooth functioning of global capitalism by loosening the chains of the market, ameliorating discrimination on the basis of nationality, no less offensive than discrimination based on sex or race. Though Bosniak identifies a selected set of rights, alien citizenship as granted based on an individual's territorial presence, this still demotes migrants below the native-born, who are privileged in their access to social services and public culture. Through the traumatic experience of migrants escaping their homeland, Winchester's pathos humanizes global inequality. The narrator's own precariousness is reflected when she sleeps in the park with her children. The local people dehumanize them as unwanted dogs. The zoomorphic attributes ascribed to refugees reflects that they individually bear the weight of dismantling a hegemonic system of global capitalism grounded in racism. How then does a migrant in a state of precarity reclaim agency?
The lack of bargaining power within the workplace and increasingly militarized policing of migration catalyzes vulnerable migrant employees to resort to new ways in resisting oppression. Perret and Aguilera argue that in contrast to the stereotypical, conspicuous public protests of citizens that overtly challenge government policy, migrants resist through intra-community, inward-looking actions that close ranks and draw strength from unity. Migrants envision exercising their freedom of choice that combats the invalidation imposed by the white integrationist narrative that privileges assimilation and prescribes rules for behavior. Reacting to the news that their French language class is losing funding prior to the class's fluency, Amidov brandishes a knife, almost like he was speaking up for a feeling we had all been suppressing. It is this individual act that articulates the collective frustration at precarity and instead enhances group cohesion. We place the blame for poverty, conflict, and difference on the backs of migrants. But have we considered that it's us who create the conditions of precarity?